All right, guys, welcome back. Here on the channel, we're going to try and go through a few different things. Basically, we're going to try to install a new item that we just recently picked up. So let's go over here. This is from K-Miata. This is our diff reinforcement plates. So I don't have a TIG welder, just the MIG welder that's over there. And essentially, I have a 3.9 torsion that's in the car right now that I don't want to break, because obviously those are expensive nowadays. So I want to end up putting those plates in. The reason I have two of these plates, or I guess three of these plates, they just accidentally sent me one of the extra ones. So didn't need that. So if you guys need one, just one, not really sure why you would need one, but yeah, hit me up, let me know. But essentially these are going to clamp. It's gonna be, let me take these apart real quick. Okay, so here's our hardware and our bolts. Pretty much on the diff housing on the right side, or the passenger side, that has a slit, which essentially, if you don't already know, makes it, allows it to break. In the event something happens, your diff will snap there. That's your weak point. Instead of breaking everything else that's back there, it just breaks that. So this is to prevent that. When you get a higher power Miata, or I guess any car, you'll need to start reinforcing things. So at this point, we're really ready for that, just in case. It's more of an insurance policy more than anything else. So we're gonna step through each process of how to drill, how to put this in, yeah, the quick and dirty way, so. But essentially, the way that these are gonna go, on the ear, on the right side, you're gonna put these in there, and then you're going to put them in place. They have these little grooves that sit into place, and then you will drill your holes, make sure obviously these are lined up nice and tight, and then you are going to slide these through and tighten them down. So this is the easiest way, since I don't have a TIG welder. This is the best way and easiest way to attach these and to kind of reinforce your backing. If you have a TIG welder, obviously you can put these in and even just weld them, or find your own, cut out your slits, put it in and weld it yourself. So since I don't have that and I want this to be easy peasy, I'm just essentially going to lift the rear end of the car up, lift it up, and then we're going to take the rear wheels off, take the axle nuts off, take the axles out, and then go underneath, look up, and then we should be able to drop the diff itself. So that's the game plan. Should be pretty straightforward, but yeah. Let's get into it, shall we? All right, now that we got the car in the air, we can go ahead and get the rear wheels off real quick, knock these out, and then we can go ahead and take the axle nuts off and go from there. Some air in it, boy. All right, so I'm gonna take the axle nuts off, and this is a 32 in socket. So I don't have a half inch, so I have an adapter that will work for my impact, but place it on there, good to go. So go ahead and get these spacers out of the way just to minimize as much damage to that as possible, and then we'll go and place this on there and get to cracking. And the reason that I'm moving or taking the axles out is so I can actually lower the diff enough. I'm hoping to not have to lower it all the way to the ground and take it fully out, but it is what it is. So let's go from there. Just came off with nice ease. We should be able to just push these or knock them out a little bit, but we'll go to the other side real quick and knock out. Which we got transmission mounts to move out. We have our diff to take out, or our differential to take out, and then what else? What else? Anything else? And I think just the diff mounts. And that's all screwed up. It's so high out there though, so I think we're gonna have to drop it a considerable amount. That's the problem. But I definitely think that exhaust is gonna have to move out of the way. So let me get to moving that. So in order to get the diff out, we basically need to remove our transmission mount. for the PPF in the back, so that way it's a little loosey-goosey. And then the mounts that are up top, I'll get my light here in a minute. And then we need to remove the back section of this exhaust. So we'll move the back section of the exhaust first, probably drive shaft too, and then go from there. Cool, so we could take this part off. I don't think I'm going to. I'm just gonna pull it out of the motor mounts, or the motor mounts, Jesus. The exhaust mounts themselves. So I'm just gonna slide those out. Should drop this whole back portion because the V-man is now off. And then, yeah, we can keep moving forward with getting the drive shaft bolts out and go from there. All right, cool. So I tried to take the axle out, see if I can get that a little bit more leverage. Can't move it all the way out. Don't feel like taking all this apart to actually fully remove that because nothing's wrong with the axle. So, but you can see here, right here, hang on, let me fix my light real quick. There we go. Right here, there's a little cutout. So this is where this is gonna get reinforced. And honestly, I can't tell if that's, doesn't look like it's cracked, but it slightly looks like it's like wearing. Maybe I'll clean it up a little bit so we can see if that is actually a crack or not, but stand by. So I'm just gonna use a little bit of soapy water, spray on it, clean it up a little bit, make sure there isn't a crack, but it kind of looks like a crack, but it also looks like the cast piece itself too. Let me get something, see if I can actually feel any of this stuff, but it looks like it's like slowly starting to crack. I hope that's not the case, but we're just gonna leave it in there if we can get away with it. So, but we're gonna drill 2 holes through these arms, and then from there, we'll put the plates on and go from there. Hopefully we can drop this whole thing without really needing, or at least angle this side down once we loosen both diff bolts, but we'll see what happens. All right, so they don't really appear to be cracks, but I can't really tell. So I'm just gonna keep moving forward. If they break, we'll replace it as we always do. So, but ultimately, looks like everything else is pretty much hold itself together. So the bolts, let's see if you can see them. In here, there are these bolts right there. There's 2. Those are 14s. Yeah, 14s. And then you have the 17 that's in the center. This big nut on this side. As soon as you drop it, you are going to, because I already took the passenger side down over here, you can see the red. You're gonna have the whole thing just drop out. So just be prepared for that. I have this holding up the diff itself. So when I take this other one out, the diff itself should be free, minus this mount right here. So assuming that it might give me enough play to drop it down and drill these holes, we might be okay. But if it doesn't give me that opportunity, then we'll just keep seeing what else we need to loosen. So now that we've taken that one off, fingers crossed that when we lower this, the diff will lower ever so slightly with it. And then we don't have to take everything else off, but let's see what we got, shall we? See you guys down here. It's coming down. Let's see. So it's definitely coming down, which is perfect. But is it coming down far enough to where we can drill? That is the real question. I think we still need to go a little bit further here. Just keep working our way down, shall we? Also just noticed my breather for my gas tank. The back end just completely blew out, so I have no charcoal in there at all. So I need to take that off and fix that up and put a new block off on it, but nor here nor there. So yeah, back to this with the pieces we have. Let's see, this is the other side. This is the front side, which makes sense. It has the fat K on it. We're basically gonna just move it, slide it up in there, and then ta-da. So you can see how much of a brace it includes to shield that whole arm, kind of protect it. Instead of getting rid of these, instead of these little divots, it's gonna actually make it a lot stronger. So we'll see if we can't get a drill bit. We'll start our way small, work our way up, and go from there. But I think we are very close. I think I need to drop it just a smidge more for the left side and then on the right side, but we can at least mark it for now. All right, we're not low enough. So I'm gonna take the PPF off. The bolts, I really wanna have to do that, but I'm gonna take the PPF off just to lower a little bit more and then see if we can't get this drill bit down far enough to where we can drill both. So PPFs, bolts out. Let's see if we can't lower it a little bit more, create a little bit more angle, and see if we can't get this thing to work out. Huh, So we're lower, but I don't know if we're low enough yet. That I don't know. Where'd my drill go? I still think we're at a funky angle, unfortunately. All right, so we got our drive shaft out. It's disconnected now. We just have that zip tied in out of the way, just so it doesn't fall on top of us while we're under here. And then we'll see if we can't lower this angle again and make it work. All right, so I think we got it low enough to actually angle it. The left side was kind of hung up there. So once we were able to get that a little bit looser, I think we might be in working order. It's barely hanging onto the PBF as is. So this is probably the best and easiest way to actually remove it without taking every single thing out. So now we can put this back up there as it was before, scratched up as can be, and then we will go ahead and we're gonna drill. Just make sure we can get it at the right angle. This one looking good. This one also looking good. All right, so we can get into both, and they look straight here as well. So let's get the drilling. So we're just gonna make our little marks here, because this is going as straight as it can. Just to start. Cool, we have both zones marked out. It's a very gloomy day, but part holes drilled. So let's go ahead and put some there. Top one looks good. On the right needs to be a little bit bigger, but otherwise, yeah. So far so good. Bigger holes now. And these bolts are 3/8 inch size, so I should just be able to use my other 3/8 drill bit, go through. This is really, really fine aluminum, so it cuts through really easy. All right, sweet. So we open these up to a 3/8 inch hole for both sides. Now we can go ahead and put our plate on there itself. And then we'll need the plate for the other side, which is right here. And that just goes on the back. There's probably some more metal shavings back here. Slight, nothing major. Cool. Put this back here. Doesn't really stay in there like the other one does, but it's okay. We'll basically feed the thing through, put this on the back, and then we'll tighten it up. So need both. So we were successfully able to lower just the diff without taking everything else out. Drill our holes, mount it up. Now we can put it in reverse, put up everything back in there. Should be pretty straightforward and pretty easy. So long story short, I pretty much broke the subframe bolt. The impact was set to way too high. So I was hitting it, trying to get it there, and it was too tight. Just completely shredded it off. So this is on the subframe itself on the rear. So we're just gonna make a new one and then weld it on. So I chopped this one off because I couldn't find a way to hammer it. It was too thin a sheet metal to hammer and get this out to put a new bolt in. So I'm just gonna make a new one out of some more steel, weld it on there. I'm gonna weld the back of this nut. Once there's a hole, put it in there, weld the hole, weld it in the hole, and then throw it up from there. So if it works out, cool. If it doesn't, we'll get another subframe in the future. Okay, so this is the piece that I cut off from subframe from before. Just cut it straight. It has that pressed in fitting, it looks like, that I tried to break loose, and then I realized I have metal. Why bother messing with that? So I got some other metal, basically in a bolt, same thread pitch and everything, so I can use the same nut as before. And I was able to take the other piece off, but now we're basically gonna get the welder, weld this up, make sure it's straight, and then there's definitely a little bit of movement on the part itself. I'll show you once we're under there, but there's a little bit of movement on that. So that way it doesn't need to be exactly perfect. It just needs to be able to move a little bit. So yeah, get this welded up and then we'll throw it on there and weld it in the car. All right, So we're welded up, back on here, got a new bolt. Now we just need to clean off this edge a little bit and then we can get it on there. So now we're under the car, right underneath the diff itself on the passenger side. So you can see where I cut it off at the top. I'm pretty much get it cleaned up and then get our piece straight, weld it on, and we should be set to put it all back together, finally. It's hard to really see anything in here anyway, so I'm just gonna knock this out and then I'll show you the after. All right, cool. So got it welded. It's not great. It's hard to get into this area, but it should be pretty solid through and through. Hit it with a hammer a couple times, didn't move. Not that that proves anything, but yeah, it's done for now. Wish it was a little better, but it's definitely on there solid. It's not going anywhere. So we'll put the other mount on and then we should be set. But as a visual, and hopefully you guys can actually see it. Hopefully I don't get dirt in my eye. Go. And wada bing, bada boom. So we're on there. We just gotta push it up more. I gotta spray with some paint so it doesn't rust. And then, yeah, hook it up, put it on the ground. All right, and that's gonna conclude this week's episode. I got a couple of small things to do before I put it back on the ground, but nothing really major here. I just need to re-weld on my exhaust hanger on the bottom side. Right here, it always seems to bounce off. And then eventually when I pull the motor, there's a straight pipe that's under there. I want it to just be straighter and a little bit tucked up, a little bit higher. So we'll do that next time or another week or something. But yeah, man, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what y'all want to see. I'll catch y'all on the next one.